big shout out to the people that helped make this happen. So big shout out to Ali and YC. We have Amara, who's here from their team, who helped us make this happen. Also, I want to thank Hooch app. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the cocktails from them. They're also giving you guys a couple months free to their membership cocktail society, so make sure you utilize that. And also thank you to Glam Squad, who did my makeup for tonight. Really appreciate it. And you guys are all going to get $15 off of their services too. Now I look out for my people. Definitely. So, and also, this is why I'm nervous, guys. I also want to say thank you to Asada. Asada is not in the building, but she dropped off her amazing cupcakes, Asada Bakes. So give me a round of applause. Did you guys like the drinks and the cupcakes? Awesome. Well, my name is Alicia. I am the founder of Her Agenda. For those that don't know, Her Agenda is a digital media platform that's working to bridge the gap between ambition and achievement for millennial women. And to do that, we highlight and showcase the stories of women who are actually, doing the work and succeeding behind the scenes. And we have a database of resources for you guys to find out about networking events and things like that, and just launched membership, which we're signing people up over there with Allison. And at the end of the night, a friend signs up, gets entered to a raffle to win a business planner. So it's really exciting stuff we have going on. The motto is no one ever slows her agenda, which essentially means whatever your goal is, go for it, and don't let anyone or anything stop you. On tonight's agenda is learning how to influence, maintain your confidence, and command respect as your career evolves. And to help us shine a light on this topic, we have three amazing women who have all mastered this in their own way. So I'd like to introduce first Mikki Taylor. For 30 years, Mikki served as Essence Magazine's groundbreaking beauty and cover director, and she is now editor-at-large for the publication. In addition, she is the founder and president of Mikki Taylor Enterprises, LLC, which is the holding company for several businesses. And also joining us is Alexandra Wilkis, co-founder and CEO of Glam Squad. Alexandra is a pioneer whose career has gone through many evolutions seamlessly. She started out in finance, moved into fashion, and became a digital entrepreneur. And it's just really been amazing to follow and watch your career journey, so thank you so much for being here. And we also have Alicia Quarles, who is an award-winning television journalist. Her talent is wide-ranging. You can catch her on the red carpet for the Academy Awards. You can catch her covering the White House Correspondents' Dinner and even the Super Bowl. So welcome, Alicia. I'm so excited that you're here with us. So just to start off, I feel like often we hear the advice, just be yourself. Be yourself. But it's hard because, especially as women, as young women, we're told speak this way. Don't sound like you have a question at the end. Stand this way. Do all of this. Do all of that. So, what was your journey like with, dealing with that during your career and making sure that you were being your authentic self?
I think that for me, it really became important to know my value and to certainly identify my purpose. I think without the two, you're really only living in the shadow of who you're meant to be. And then you can become anybody's imprint. People will, so depending on the culture of where you work, then you're going to take on the imprint of that culture. People will tell you, do this, be this, don't talk like that. Oh, you can't talk to this manager like that, so you can't. That's chaos. That's chaos. That's not an ID. And so you really have to establish who you are by knowing what you bring to the table, certainly by identifying your purpose. Particularly, I learned early on in my career at Essence that I was a brand within a brand. Let me hear you all say that. Brand within a brand. And when you identify yourself that way, you understand that you're not just going to work. I can tell you that since I never hired anybody who wanted a job. I hired people who want to make a contribution. So when you understand and see yourself as a brand, it's a lot easier to be comfortable in your skin and to know who you are and not allow people to redefine or shape who you are.
So
I think for me, I'm still figuring out. I don't think I have everything figured out by any means, but I started out, my first job out of college was in finance, very male-dominated, and that meant that dress code, I always felt like I had to dress kind of in a more masculine way, like pantsuits and things like that, and that was fine, and I did 3 years of investment banking, went to business school, and then finally got into more industries that were more felt more natural and comfortable to me. So fashion, and then the entrepreneurial journey of Guild, and then Glam Squad. And I think what I started recognizing is that women who, it was okay, in fact it was great to embrace fashion and beauty and dress up. You hear that old saying, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want to have, and it's a saying and whatever, but I do think there's truth to that. I do think that when you take the time to put yourself together, I know it's hard to do it every single day, but the days that matter, when you have something important, a meeting, a presentation, a pitch, something like that, put yourself together, because at the end of the day, it's about feeling confident. It's not so much that, how you look, it's how you feel. And our whole business at Glam Squad is all about delivering confidence to women, and we think that when women feel their most confident, they're going to be their most successful. My other little comment, which I think ties on to what you were saying, is I remember I wrote a book that with my Guild co-founder in 2012, and I was trying to figure out Twitter and social media before the book was coming out so that I could have someone to promote the book to, creating a following. And I sat down with a friend, and she's mentored me, I've mentored her. I believe mentoring is full circle. You might know her, Soraya Darby, and at the time, this was like 2012, she had almost 500,000 Twitter followers. So I was like, okay, well, teach me, what do I need to learn, what do I need to do? And she was like, well, what does your brand represent? And I was like, what, you mean Guild? And she's like, no, your brand, you as a person. And I was like, God, what does that mean? And she was like, well, you have to think of yourself as a brand, because that's going to influence who should want to follow you, who actually cares what you have to say and what you have to post. And she kind of helped guide me through that kind of thinking to realize, what, it could be working mothers. I have 2 kids. It could be people, women and men in startups. It could be people interested in fashion and beauty and technology. And that really helped me to just think of, as you were saying, myself as a brand, which I've never really done before.
Yeah, I think the difference with millennials, to follow up on their points, is you do think of yourselves as a brand because you have social media. So, I'm 34, I've embraced social media, but when I got to college, we didn't have that. So for me, I was always able to be myself because I put in the work. So here's the thing. I always said there's always going to be somebody prettier than you, somebody more connected with you, but there's only one you. And for me, nobody will ever outwork me. So I could always be myself because I put in the work. If I'm going to interview that person, I know what I'm talking about because I did the research on it. So people can take away your looks, they can take away other things, nobody can take away your intelligence. And when you're intelligent and you're strong, you've done the work, you can be your authentic self. My authentic self is crazy, but I get the job done.
And there's definitely power, I think, in authenticity, and people are drawn to that, but it doesn't come natural. You have to really work at it. But you guys all seem to do it effortlessly, but can you remember a moment maybe when you didn't really live up to your authentic self, and maybe someone took that power away from you? Just so that we can showcase how far you've come.
How much time do you have?
Yeah.
Just one moment.
Well, one thing I'll say, interestingly enough, when I first came to Essence, yours truly was a very shy person. Because first of all, yeah, I know, nobody did that to me. Hilarious. And so that was something for me to overcome. So here I was working in the midst of empowered black women and talking about the subject of beauty, which meant more than anything to the audience. So not only was I working with empowered black women, but I was going out into an industry where more often than not, at a press event, I was the only woman of color, let alone of African descent. And so what I had to do, I had to learn to leave my shy self at home.
Right.
I really did. And I said, after a while it became the running joke. I would say to her, you can't go because you always get in the way. You're afraid to speak up. You're intimidated by these people, yet you know more than everybody about beauty. You grew up in beauty school, so you could stay at home. I'll tell you about it when I come. And so it became became really physical for me, and that was true. So I had to take my deliberate self out, and the way I did that was like I moved myself out of the way. And ever since I, reached that turning point, it's really been a joy to get up every day and go to work on behalf of Black women. And so when you have a force of millions of strong, empowered beauty enthusiasts behind you, you don't bow down, you don't shrink back, you lean long before they started talking about leaning in or crashing this or that. That's what you had to do. And so not only did, and this is something I'll say very, I think it's very relevant in that wherever you work, they always hand you this job description. It is really on you to defy expectations. The job description is really a foundation, but what are you going to make of it? So my job description when my first position as beauty editor was certainly to report on beauty for Black women. But what I was able to report on fit in the span of my 2 arms because we were the invisible women. So I took it upon myself to educate beauty companies. This is what you need to know. And this is how we shop. Beauty is an emotional purchase for us. It's not transactional. None of these products work. And that took a lot of guts to speak up. But when I saw myself working for millions of women, and this was long before social media, I had them in my ear, they had to know. So, that was one thing I had to overcome, but there were many.
I'll just say that some advice I share a lot, and I wish someone had said that to me earlier in my career, is figure out what you're passionate about and figure out what you're really good at. And if you can marry the two, so finding a job, finding an industry, a career path where you're passionate about it and you're good at it, you're going to set yourself up for success. And I think the moments that I've had in my career where I didn't stand up for myself, I felt insecure, I didn't feel confident, were when I was doing roles, functional roles, where honestly I didn't feel like I was very good at them. And so I wasn't my authentic self, and I sort of felt like, are they going to figure out that I'm not good at this, and how do I kind of fake my way through it? So the sooner you can get into that place where you're like, I know this inside and out, it's intuitive, I think you're going to be really happy, you're going to have fun, and you're going to shine.
I think I have 2 examples. I started my career at the Associated Press, and back then I was behind the scenes, so I was a producer, and I was writing, but I wasn't on camera because there was no TV division. Opportunity is when luck, right, and preparation meet. That's opportunity. And I wanted to stay ready so I didn't have to get ready. So eventually, I paved the way, and I started being on air and doing my thing, and then cut 2 years later, I was running our entertainment department, about 60 people globally, and I would go into these boardrooms with, normally it was older white men, and they would come in as this young chick, Black woman from the entertainment department, big joke. No. I would go in there and I would get it every time. So I learned how to run a business, and I had to face those fears. And when you can do that, you're fearless because you've seen it all.
I want to add to that too, how you said opportunity. I'm a big believer that opportunity favors the prepared woman. So you have to really show up ready. You don't get there and get ready. You don't really need someone else's validation. Do the homework, because already you have the gift. Like she said instinctively, she knew that. So you have to, it's on you to develop your authenticity, develop brand new, do the work. And then, this doesn't really apply to you, but what I tell the girls who've been out there a while, it's not about working with the same old tools. You gotta retool your kit. So I remember when I went to FIT, last year, they were like, are you here to teach? I'm like, no, I'm coming, yes, because I'm gonna finish my branding studies, because it's not about illuminating my gift with the same old skill set. So you do the work. You both have said it, but that's what it is. Opportunity favors the prepared one.
One of my mentors always tells me, you are equipped. You are already equipped. Everything that you need, you have it. You just have to activate it. And you talked a little bit, Alicia, about your transition from behind the scenes to on camera. And the way you talk about it sounds so easy, but I want to talk about the logistics of that. First, you always knew, even when you took that behind the scenes position, that you wanted to be on camera.
Always.
So how did you just keep your eye on the prize to work towards, transitioning? And then when it came time to really, okay, I want to transition to video and TV on camera. How did you position that to your bosses and other people that had to buy into it to make it happen?
That's a good question. Well, me getting on camera was 10 years in the making. And I tell you all that because people see you and they think, oh, she's on TV. No, I still, and also, don't forget your fundamentals. I still write. I wrote for Essence of a piece coming out next month. I still write. You can't forget those fundamentals or downplay them ever. So basically, I got buy-in from my bosses to be on air because I did my job really well. If you don't do your job that they're asking you to do well and go above and beyond, nobody's going to want to throw you an extra bone. Like, do the work first. Don't make extra work for them. And then also I said, well, this is how, I thought about it as a business. How can we make money? How can we brand? And why would AP want to put me on air? Just because everybody wants to be on air. Why would they put me on air? But I would break stories. So if CNN or Fox News or MSN called somebody and wanted them to talk about the story, why not have the person on there that actually broke the story? That's the authority. If we're live streaming all these customers getting our Oscar coverage for free, why not put one of your authorities on there and brand some more? So I thought about it as a business, and that's how I got the buy-in from my bosses.
It's maybe better that you don't know how hard it's going to be because it might influence you chickening out. And I think that was true. So for Guilt, we were 5 co-founders. We were so passionate about this idea. We wanted to bring the excitement of a New York City sample sale online, millions of people across the country, and then it became around the world. And we were just dedicated, and we were willing to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there was so much energy, adrenaline, and we never really thought about what if it fails, what if this doesn't work. It's like we are going to keep tweaking and going after it, and functionally what I did is I got all the brands. So I was hustling every brand that you can possibly imagine. If any of you have shopped on Guilt, the kinds of brands they sell. At some point they probably all said no to me, like, no, come back when you have one of our competitors, or come back when you do this. Some brands are like, come back when you have our medicine. Like, well, that might be hard. And you just don't give up. You have to have that can-do attitude, glasses half full, and it's exhausting. And I'm sure those of you who are entrepreneurs know, you run yourself ragged. So many. Whether you're founders or any member of a startup team, there is such a thing as burnout. Burnout is real. So I now that I'm doing the second time around, and I'm also a mother now, I didn't have kids when I started Guilt, I'm always telling our team members, watch your health, make sure you're sleeping, make sure you're doing whatever it is that grounds you, exercise, I don't know, meditation's really trendy right now, whatever it is, but take that me time when you can, because if not, you're going to combust, and that's not good for the startup.
I think for me, it's just having, I can't say I did this or I'm doing this. I have some phenomenal people around me. It takes a village. So, people that I mentor, people that mentor me, amazing family. So in those moments of so-called, I don't believe in failure, I believe in lessons. So in those moments of lessons, or when you feel like you're in the valley, what can you learn from that? It's not how you fall, it's how you get up. And you talk to those people that have been there and done that. Much like a startup, TV is a rough business. Whoa, I thought print journalism was rough. TV is rough because immediately people will tell you where to go and where to put it, and so you develop a tough skin because you believe in you. And I never think my stuff doesn't stink. The only reason that I do what I do is because y'all watch me and support me. If you didn't, I wouldn't have a job. So you never forget that. Never forget where your bread is buttered, and never be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes you need help.
Right. Okay, but you've interviewed Oprah, so that moment. What was going through your mind, and how did you get over whatever nerves you were having, and really just okay, I'm just gonna do it and push past whatever feelings you had?
So the first time I interviewed her, she was only doing maybe 2 TV interviews. And I remember I was in Toronto and I was sitting in the hall and I was nervous. I was sitting like this, tapping my foot. I think my eyes were closed. So this woman comes up to me and I feel this. And I look up, it's like a halo. It's Oprah! And she said, you got this.
Yes.
And that's all I needed, y'all. And then I walked into my interview, it was her and Tyler Perry, and I looked down and we had the same Louboutins on. Oprah doesn't know, I had saved for years and years for those Louboutins, and I was telling my sister I'm gonna buy them. She was like, buy the shoes already. So I bought the shoes, we had the same ones on, and the rest is history.
And then Alex, I just really want to talk to you about the fact that you guys were a pioneer in the space when Guilt came around. No one had heard of doing flash sales online, and you guys were really, not only, there was a market, you didn't have to create the market, but you had to teach investors that there was a market and opportunity. So how did you prepare yourself for those moments and you deal with that constant pushback from them when you were trying to raise money for Guilt?
Yeah, well, one thing I learned, I think when I was on the sales floor at Louis Vuitton, I graduated Harvard Business School, and my job was literally selling shoes, like shoes to my friends' mothers, you know, on the floor selling them. Very humbling, but awesome experience. And I learned, like, I can sell anything to anyone. I could sell fountain pens that I did not understand to Chinese nationals who were tourists who didn't speak English. Like, I don't know how I could figure that out, but 'cause I don't even know how a fountain pen works. But I think, you know, no one talks about sales like it's a great skill. It's not something that I think gets enough kudos. And you know I can sell, and I think I do it in an authentic way. I try to be sort of elegant, not too pushy, but underhandedly I'm actually super pushy, but I do it in like a, oh, they think she's like a dumb blonde, and that's fine. So, you know, to your question, like, everything was a struggle. We had to pitch ourselves to investors. That was tough. For me, what I was always doing was pitching to brands, so telling brands, you know, come give us your excess inventory, sell online at a discount. In 2007, a lot of these brands weren't selling online at full price. So this was like a crazy concept to them. And then to customers, a lot of customers had never bought sizable goods, like, you know, apparel, shoes. They really weren't buying that online. They were buying accessories. They were obviously buying like books and music and maybe home accessories. But so we had to sell and change behavior for everybody. So I think you just have to really believe in what your vision, your mission, you know, what you stand for, and listen. As annoying as it is to hear all that negative feedback, and we all hear negative feedback, I'm sure in TV you get enough negative feedback, it's important to listen and to absorb it, not let it bring you down, but just think like, okay, maybe I'm not explaining something as well as I should, or maybe we should tweak our presentation or our business model, or, you know, listen to it, because there's probably, I mean, a lot of people out there probably just don't know what they're talking about, but some people might actually know what they're talking about, and it might make you more successful.
You know, one thing I want to say, just to add to that, Alex, is that, you know, every no doesn't mean that you should be defeated. It just means that you have to be creative, and that you have to dig deeper. What I can tell you, when I became editor-at-large, which allowed me to start my own company, it was kind of like a shock to my system, because, you know, I didn't have this whole force around me for my own business. So I went from like pushing a button, picking a phone, saying I need this, this, this. And then for my own business, it was like, look in the mirror, and then you say, you need this, this, and this. and so I learned to ask for help. I think you made that point. That's a very valid point. And the other thing is that I learned that I didn't have to know all the answers, nor did I have to do everything. So it really is about creating infrastructure. You know, stay in your lane, operate in your gift, know what you're great at. And so my company has 3 divisions. There's MT Communications, which works with the beauty industry and helping those that are looking to penetrate the African American market, helping them move from brand awareness to brand engagement. There's Satin Doll Productions, which does imaging for corporate women and wardrobe makeovers and all the stuff that I did, you know, on the magazine. And then there's MTE, which manages brand Mikki, speaker, creative strategist, author, what have you. And so I said all that to say I really run these companies like the weather, like the news desk rather. I'm not trying to be the weatherman. I'm not trying to be the sportscaster. I'm counting on people who really come to the table, who understand that and know the objective of what we have to do on any given day for any different client. And then it is about relationships. Your relationships are your wealth as an entrepreneur. So I can, you know, operate the same business on the West Coast that I can operate in New York without having to have people on the West Coast on payroll. It's a question of picking up the phone, knowing who's got the expertise, said client needs this, we're coming together, are you available X, Y, and Z, here's, you know, the lowdown on this project. So again, yeah, it's really about your relationships. And also, as an entrepreneur, don't fear failure. You know, some of the best people I know have failed their way to the top. And so I love how she said it's, you know, you want to get your advice from people who have experienced what you're trying to delve into, because you don't want any untested advice. So failure is a great teacher. You know, you don't want to just go through something, you want to grow through it. You want to learn from it and keep it moving. If you don't fail at some things, well, your strength level is not going to be that great. Your vision is not going to be that great.
We have 5 minutes left, ladies, and I have some more questions. 5 minutes left with me, then I'm opening it up to the audience, and then there will be a little bit more time. But I want to talk about the fact that, okay, power, a lot of it is tapping into yourself and working on yourself internally. But some of it is external too, and a lot of people try to dismiss beauty and style as if it's just trivial, but there's part of it that makes you feel a certain way and makes you more confident and comfortable in your skin. So just real quick, like what's your go-to thing that makes you feel powerful, like an
Power
external
is in
thing?
my lashes. I love my lashes. A friend of mine was interviewing Lady Gaga, and she asked our friend Akessa, she said, "Are you wearing double lashes?" Lady Gaga said, "Yes, it's my luminosity." So the point is, yeah, Alicia's point, you have to look the part. I get some of my best sources because I look the part. Celeb A is comfortable talking to me and getting my number and further talking to me because I'm not saying I look like a celeb, but you know what I'm saying, I look good. But that's because I have a really good team. I've got makeup artists and hairstylists and a team that puts it all together. So that's the teamwork.
And for those of you who don't have hairstylists, you teach me there's Glam Squad. So hopefully you will check it out. $50 to get your hair blown out in the comfort of your home. I'm kidding around, but I'm also serious because for me, that's why this business is so exciting to me. So you get your hair done, get your nails done, get your makeup done, whether it's for that really important professional moment or personal moment or wedding or whatever it is. You look, for me, you look and feel your best. And when you look and feel your best, you're going to perform. Nothing's going to stop you, and you're going to have that can-do, like, warrior, I can conquer the world attitude.
I think, you know, without question, you're the ambassador for your brand, and whatever your soul's purpose is. And, you know, my first book, I wrote about that. My first book was titled Self-Seduction. You really, to me, every woman should have what I call a temple management team. And just depending on where you are in your life and your business, you know, it can shift. So I'm sure you know, it's a hairstylist, maybe a makeup artist on call when you need her. You can call Glam Squad, manicurist, you know, your doctor might be on there. Whatever it is that helps you be at your best. Because when you feel good, you look good. The other important thing is to really pour into yourself, and time for self is critical. Time for self is critical. You have to spend time in your vision space because everything you do, how you think, comes from here. So you really have to make that time to self-nurture, to hear your own voice, to clear out the clutter. Yeah, it all goes together.